From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike says defecting to the ruling All Progressives Congress does not automatically guarantee a second-term ticket for any sitting governor. President Bola Tinubu leaves for Europe ahead of the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Summit holding in the first week of January 2026. We begin our 2025 sector-by-sector assessment tonight with a special focus on the judiciary. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky meets with President Donald Trump in Florida to discuss bringing an end to the war in Ukraine. We begin tonight with party politics as FCT Minister Nyesom Wike says that joining the All Progressives Congress, the APC, and expressing support for President Bola Tinubu does not automatically guarantee a governor a second term. The minister made this remark while speaking at the function in Emohua in Rivers State. Mr. Wike also emphasized that the Kwere ethnic group must continue to play a significant role in Nigerian politics, asking his people to remain politically relevant.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, is in Emohua to engage with his political supporters as part of ongoing consultations across Rivers State. He's received by the chairman of Emohua local government area, Chidi Lloyd, alongside the traditional ruler and other party leaders and stakeholders. Addressing the gathering, the council chairman reaffirms the community's unwavering support for President Tinubu and the FCT minister, saying Emohua is already in the bag.
I just want to tell you that we appreciate you and that as grateful people, we will continue to follow you. Because you have not misled us, how else will we thank a man who is as selfless as you than to stand with you? Because you stand for equity, you stand for justice, and you stand for fairness.
In his remarks, Mr. Wike tells supporters that the Kwere people must remain politically relevant and should never allow themselves be sidelined in national politics.
For Tinubu to resist every temptation against an Kwere man to be Minister of FCT. When people do not want it, he said no. Let's try it on our person. And today is a Kwere man. What do we do? Is to tell him, Mr. President, you have done well. Thank you.
He further cautions that merely professing loyalty to President Tinubu does not automatically guarantee a second-term ticket for any sitting governor, insisting that political agreements must be respected and clearly defined.
Anybody who wants to be governor of the state, if you like, sing or your mandate. Agreement is what? Agreement is what? If you know, agreement is agreement. Agreement is agreement. We got into settlement. You can't determine us. Agreement is agreement. Agreement is agreement. Agreement is agreement. We got into settlement. You can't determine us. Agreement is agreement.
From Emohua, the minister moves to Siopo in Ikwere local government area, where he delivers a similar message. There, a former council chairman pledges the council's support, dismissing suggestions that the African Democratic Congress could gain political ground in the area.
Excellency, go home and sleep, you and your entourage. We will never fail you. Forget about those who stay in Abuja and make noise. Excellency, they don't have home at home, that's why they can't come back. They will do their ADC in Itama and Asubo.
With these engagements, the minister's visit appears aimed at consolidating his political base in Equatorial land, even as signals from his remarks suggest that Rivers State politics may be heading into another defining phase in the months ahead.
President Bola Tinubu has left Lagos for Europe as part of his end-of-the-year break prior to his official trip to Abu Dhabi, the United Arab Emirates. And according to the presidential spokesman, Bayo Ononuga, President Tinubu was invited by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the president of the UAE, to attend the 2026 Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week Summit, scheduled for early January next year. The week-long summit, themed The Nexus of Next, All Systems Go, brings together leaders from government, business and civil society groups to explore sustainable development, innovation, finance and people-focused initiatives. The president is expected to return to Nigeria after that summit. And in Abia State, Governor Alex Otti says that his administration is committed to delivering on its 4-year mandate rather than engaging in early politicking ahead of the 2027 general elections. Speaking at the 2025 Aro Day celebration in Arochukwu local government area of the state, Governor Otti expressed confidence that his performance in office gives him a better chance in 2027 than he had in 2023.
Abia State's Governor, Dr. Alex Otti, arrived at the Aro Civic Center for the Aro Day celebration alongside his wife, Mrs. Priscilla Otti, and the Emir of Kano, His Highness Mohammed Sanusi II. Other dignitaries and prominent personalities also graced the event. The 2025 Aro Day celebration drew a distinguished gathering, including the Eze Aro of Arochukwu Kingdom, Eze Berechukwu Oji, prominent sons and daughters of the Aro Kingdom, and dignitaries from across the country, including federal and state government officials. Speaking at the event, the Emir of Kano, His Highness Mohammed Sanusi II, praised the people of Abia State for their choice of Governor Alex Otti, noting that within just 2 years in office, the governor has demonstrated clear capacity to deliver on his mandate.
Governor Otti, for all of us who've been to Abia before, and I'm speaking as somebody who is outside Abia, I'd like you to know that it is not just the Abians who are proud of him. All of us are proud of him, and he represents the kind of governance we're looking for at sub-national levels.
Chairman of the occasion, Mazi Victor Koronkwo, urged Governor Alex Otti to consider constructing a sporting facility in Arochukwu to provide productive engagement for youths. He also thanked the governor for improving accessibility to the area.
Now that we are moving and expanding beyond football into full-scale sports, athletics, high jump, whatever, we desperately need a sporting ground in our city.
In response, Governor Otti highlighted his administration's measurable achievements during 30 months in office and reassured residents of continued developments across Abia State, noting the strong support he enjoys from the people.
Just like it happened in 2023. 2027 will even be smoother, I can assure you. Why am I so confident? I'm confident because in 2023 we were selling promise. But now, there are one or two things that we can point to.
The celebration also featured vibrant cultural dance performances, the unveiling of plaques honoring past heroes of the Aro Kingdom, and other activities celebrating the community's rich cultural heritage.
Well, it's that time of the year again to take a look at the performance of the various sectors. So tonight, we begin with the judiciary. As 2025 draws to a close, the Nigerian judiciary stands at a historic crossroad. From landmark judgment on the declaration of state of emergency in River State to terrorism charges against Mr. Nnamdi Kanu and the surge in Supreme Court productivity, 2025 has been a year of both institutional growth and intense public scrutiny. It was the first full year under the substantive leadership of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekere Ekun. Our correspondent Emanuela Ekele reports.
Over the past year, Nigeria's legal system has undergone a significant transformation through a series of landmark judgments that have not only reinterpreted existing laws, but also reshaped the boundaries of civil liberties, electoral integrity, and institutional accountability. It was also saddled with the responsibility of upholding the rule of law, despite its scrutiny by Nigerians. But the year was not without drama. Several suits challenged the constitutionality of President Tinubu's declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State in March 2025, questioning its legality and impact on the nation's democracy. However, the Supreme Court ruled on December 15 that the president had the powers to declare a state of emergency in any part of the country to foster the breakdown of law and order, and also to suspend elected officials within a set time frame. The Apex Court also affirmed the death sentence passed on Miriam Sanda for the death of her husband in 2017, though the president had earlier granted her pardon and commuted her sentence to 12 years imprisonment. Lawsuits arose from internal party democracy, including the case by aggrieved PDP members seeking to stop the party's 2025 convention due to alleged rule violations. Two groups got conflicting rulings from courts of coordinate jurisdiction in the matter, which is expected to shape the political scene in 2026. The Nnamdi Kanu IPOB case got an accelerated hearing this year, with significant focus on the admissibility of evidence, the legality of IPOB's prescription, and Kanu's constitutional rights.
I'm asking a very simple question. No, wait, please, look, this is Supreme Court. This Supreme Court here. Hold on a second. I said, hold on. Let me please your lordship, please.
Judgment was delivered on November 20, where he was found guilty of terrorism and sentenced to life imprisonment at a Sokoto prison. There were other terrorism-related cases, though none have completed judicial process. A major development saw the UK Supreme Court rule in Nigeria's favor regarding the P&ID gas contract dispute, setting aside the award due to alleged fraud.
Daily processes.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria emphasized urgent reforms, including digitizing court processes and increasing judicial personnel to curb corruption and improve efficiency. The judiciary faced intense scrutiny and calls for internal reforms to restore public trust, with legal experts highlighting issues like funding and the conduct of officials.
The public increasingly measures
Efficiency was the watchword this year, as Justice Kekere Ekun revealed at the 2025-2026 legal year ceremony that the Supreme Court delivered 369 judgments, a nearly 50% increase over the previous year. The court also cleared a massive backlog, considering over 2,200 motions and appeals. This became a possibility as the Apex Court reached its full constitutional complement of 21 justices. The internal cleansing remained a priority. The NJC recommended the compulsory retirement of at least 10 judges this year and issued warnings to several others for various degrees of misconduct. Legal practitioners are calling for stronger implementation of laws that will drive meaningful reforms in Nigeria's criminal justice system and ensure the swift dispensation of justice.
As a matter of necessity, the Foundation routinely considers the state of the existing laws governing the powers and functions of all relevant criminal justice institutions, such as the Nigerian Police and all law enforcement agencies operating in Nigeria. We also consider the performance of the law courts with criminal jurisdiction.
With 2026 in view, the focus remains on building a confident judiciary, which is a theme of this year's All Nigerian Judges Conference under a new leadership, with a clear and consistent message of fairness, professionalism, and free from external influence. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
And in part two, after the break, 34 lawmakers have failed to the National Judicial Council's integrity test. 4 lawyers have failed the National Judicial Council integrity test for the development and deployment of judges, and that's 34 of them. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike says defecting to the ruling APC does not automatically guarantee a second-term ticket for any sitting governor. President Bola Tinubu leaves for Europe ahead of the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Summit holding in the first week of January. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky meets with President Donald Trump in Florida to discuss bringing an end to the war in Ukraine. "34 lawyers nominated for appointment as judges of the Federal High Court of Nigeria have failed the National Judicial Council's integrity test, and they have been dropped from the race. The 34 legal practitioners are part of the 62 applicants nominated for the bench of the Federal High Court, but got knocked off by various petitions against them during the integrity test. In one notable case, a female nominee was accused of soliciting bribes while performing official duties. Investigation by the Police Service Commission confirmed she demanded and received 1 million naira in connection with a court matter. Sources at the NJC confirmed that only 28 nominees with clean records will proceed to face the Council's interview panel next month, where final decisions on Federal High Court appointments will be made. The integrity test forms part of the NJC's new guidelines approved under Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, to prevent persons of questionable character from being appointed as judicial officers. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, is calling on the frontline troops to enter 2026 with renewed optimism, commitment and determination, especially in tackling terrorism and emerging security threats in the northeastern part of Nigeria. The message was delivered through Major General Godwin Motkut, the commander of the Infantry Corps, during a Christmas luncheon with troops of Mai Malari Barracks in Maiduguri, Borno State.
The Christmas luncheon commenced with cultural displays and dance performances by children and indigenous groups from across the state. The theater commander joined Task Force on Operation Hadinkai. In his address, commended the troops for their resilience and sacrifice in the fight against insurgency in the region.
Today, we are essentially here to say thank you to our personnel, particularly the wounded, for the good job that you are doing for the nation. Let me also add that it is on record that our operational activities have yielded the desired effects, as evident in the recent successes and resilience of the troops.
While expressing sympathy for troops who sustain injuries in the line of duty, the Chief of Army Staff, through his representative, urged personnel to remain focused and embrace the coming year with renewed commitment to national security.
As New Year draws near, I encourage all officers and soldiers to embrace the year 2026 with fresh optimism, commitment, and determination. We will intensify our efforts to tackle emerging threats, consolidate the gains already achieved, in all operational theaters and uphold the honor and integrity of our service.
The governor of Borno State, Babangida Zulum, represented by the secretary to the state government, reaffirmed the state government's commitment to continue support for the military in counter-insurgency efforts aimed at restoring lasting peace.
His Excellency has expressed without a flinch of doubt that he will continue to partner with the armed forces and provide maximum support to the armed forces in terms of equipment, logistics, and all it takes to make sure that peace, security is completely restored to Borno and the Northeast in general.
The event also featured a session of sharing and dining among military officers, government officials, troops, and members of the host communities. The Christmas luncheon is an annual event organized to boost the morale of frontline troops who continue to work tirelessly to restore peace and security across the country.
Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak of Kwara State has promised that terrorists, kidnappers and other criminals will find no hiding place in the state. Speaking at the passing out parade of the newly trained forest guards in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, the governor described this initiative as a game changer for the state's security architecture. The National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, although represented by Femi Shotayo, assured that the forest guards will be deployed immediately with strict adherence to rules and engagement and respect for human rights.
Distinguished forest guards, you're embarking on a national assignment to protect our people from criminal elements in our forests and in the entire state. Working with gallant officers and personnel of the security forces, you are to go all out to flush out terrorists, restore sanity in our forests, and keep our communities safer than ever before. Once again, I commend the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces for this bold policy.
Accordingly, these new trained forest guards were deployed immediately to the beleaguered communities in the highlighted states, particularly around forested and ungoverned spaces. Aside from being first responders, they are expected to gather actionable human intelligence to support ongoing security operations and restore strategic presence where it has been long absent.
And in Offa, the Director General of the National Population Commission, Dr. Ojogun Telson Osifo, says that planning without data cannot yield the desired result. Dr. Osifo was speaking in Offa, Kwara State during the launch of the Omo Offa Nimi, a communal digital identity card scheme aimed at creating a secure data ecosystem to drive inclusive growth and precise community planning for residents and indigenes of Offa in Kwara State.
Known for the philosophy of community before government, the people of Offa are once again setting a national precedent. The newly commissioned Omo Offa Nimi Secretariat is more than just an office. It is the hub of a digital platform designed to capture a comprehensive census of the community. The urgency of this data-driven approach is highlighted by the Director General of the National Population Commission, who notes that in a modern economy, a lack of accurate data is the fastest route to failed decision-making.
Data as oxygen, we call it the currency that yields billions of dollars. Because if you don't have it, you do not know where you are going, neither do you know where to stop. And you cannot measure whether you are going to the right direction or wrong direction. Planning with the wrong data, it's like doing nothing.
We are looking at a digital offer tomorrow. How do we digitalize offer when we don't have a data? And that's the more reason, that's what informed these premises today.
The initiative has drawn praise from heavyweights in the financial and civic sectors. Former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, alongside the President of the Offa Descendants Union, emphasized that this digital framework is the key to unlocking inclusive growth.
that inclusiveness part of it, that we will now be able to know those who are living at the margins. You will be able to plan for them. You'll be able to know the youth, those who have skills, those who do not have skills. This is all what the community-based data center will enable us to do.
We need to expand the platform to also accommodate the non-indigenous that are living in our midst. How many Hausa people are we having so far? How many Igbo people are we having so far? How many Igbos are we having?
For the Olofa of Ofa and the Asiwaju of Ofa, this project is about visibility and validation.
And the last census, we just allocated some figure. They gave us a number which does not even represent one word in Ofa. We had to go and contest this at the court, and we won. So since that time, we're thinking of what to do so as not to have a repeat of such. Before Engineer Kola Balogun brought the idea of our own census, even before the real federal census.
What we are doing here today is a perfect example of how to synchronize community-based development initiatives with the national process. And we are doing this in line with global best practices. That's why we have the guidance of the DG of the National Population Commission, who is also a UN expert. And then we also have NIMSI.
As the enrollment kicks off, the goal is to transform data into dignity and digital identity into economic prosperity for every resident of Ofa.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Group CEO of NNPCL, Bayo Julari, pledges consistent supply of crude oil for local refineries in the country. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. The Group CEO of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, Mr. Bayo Julari, has reaffirmed the company's commitment to boosting domestic crude oil production to ensure a steady supply of local refineries, including the Dangote Petroleum Refinery. He was speaking after a briefing with President Bola Tinubu on NNPC's 2025 performance and the 2026 strategic priorities. Mr. Julari expressed optimism that Nigerians will benefit from efforts to address price tensions in the downstream petroleum sector.
For us as NNPC, our focus is to generate more production. As we generate more production, we believe there will be more production to feed up the refineries as much as possible. We also believe the additional production will create more flexibility in terms of ability for downstream players to be able to participate effectively. For us, as the supplier of last resort, we are working very closely with all the key players in the downstream, as well as Dangote, who is for which we have an interest as well, to ensure that we ensure there is product availability to Nigerians. Right, that is the most important thing. And if you look at it, so far so good. Throughout all these supplies, that has been going very, very well. We let the NMDPRA manage the issue of competitiveness. Competitiveness is not easy. And I think it's these early stages, we are seeing a lot of tension with the willing buyer, willing market. At the end of the day, I can tell you that Nigerians on the street are going to be the beneficiaries. Where there is a healthy competition, the buyers are the ultimate beneficiaries. And I think for us, we need to keep our mind. But the market will stabilize after a while. There'll be some tension because we're going through a major transition. And to be honest with you, by the time you have a refinery like a Dangote in country, which has not been there before, with NNPC refinery now under a major, a relook, such a huge refinery in the country, you can expect the market will be impacted, right? Now, all we need to do together is to walk through that reality. It's a great thing to have a major refinery in Nigeria, supplying West Africa and other parts of the world. The question now is how do we then ensure that the market forces stabilizes so that everyone can be okay.
Construction of the Ogoni Specialist Hospital has reached 78% completion, and according to the Facilities Technical Planning Committee, which submitted its operationalization report to the Hydrocarbon Population Remediation Project, HYPREP, at its Port Harcourt headquarters. That report includes key recommendations aimed at ensuring long-term access to quality health care for the Ogoni people. Our correspondent, Deborah Miefiberesima, reports.
Specialist Hospital, a 100-bed facility spearheaded by the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, HYPREP, has now reached 78.2% completion. HYPREP's Project Coordination Office recently received the operationalization report from the 14-member Technical Planning Committee established earlier this year to guard the hospital's launch. Chaired by Professor Christy Matto, the committee outlined comprehensive recommendations covering legal and governance structures, operational models, service scope, staffing, funding, strategies, power supply, waste management, environmental safeguards and monitoring and evaluation systems.
We deliberated and developed these key positions that we felt would be actionable recommendations. The first one is the legal framework. The Technical Planning Committee recommends that the operationalization and funding of the Ogoni Specialist Hospital should align with relevant laws, statutes, and legislation in Rivers State and Nigeria. Therefore, the Technical Planning Committee recommends that HYPREP, which is the proponent of the Ogoni Specialist Hospital, takes the necessary steps to establish and register an Ogoni Foundation as a corporate non-profit entity to wholly own, manage, and sustain the Ogoni Specialist Hospital on behalf of the Ogoni people.
Receiving the report, HYPREP Project Coordinator Professor Nenebarini Zabe praised the Technical Planning Committee for its comprehensive and timely submission, noting that the Ogoni Specialist Hospital will significantly boost public health outcomes in the region. He highlighted that the hospital complements other HYPREP health initiatives, including Bois Cottage Hospital, human biomonitoring studies, regular medical outreaches, strengthening local health centers, and planned ambulance distributions, all aligned with UNEP recommendations.
To this end, the committee's work is an essential phase in bringing the hospital into service. The detailed planning, consultations, and assessments you have undertaken will guide the next steps as we work to complete construction and thereafter commence operations. The Ogoni Specialist Hospital is a central component of the multi-layered public health interventions being implemented by HYPREP in Ogoni land.
Committee member and former MOSOP president, Labour C. Piabara, described the development as a major milestone for accessible quality health care for the Ogoni people.
We don't need to wait until the entire structure is completed before starting modalities where it should be operationalized. I think this is a step forward in terms of trying to create a platform where once the completion of the building is achieved, moving into starting work, they start immediately to provide services to our people.
Once completed, the Ogoni Specialist Hospital is expected to serve as a referral hub with departments in oncology, infectious disease, ophthalmology, dentistry, obstetrics and gynecology, pediatrics, and cardiology. HYPREP says the project is a strategic public health intervention aimed at improving healthcare delivery, reducing reliance on distant tertiary hospitals, and ultimately saving lives in Ogoni land. Deborah Miefiberesima, Channels Television News.
Let's head to Anambra State now, where Governor Chukwuma Soludo has officially inaugurated the Anambra Country Club in Awka, a premier destination for business, leisure, and entertainment. Well, he highlighted the importance of providing top-notch facilities for relaxation and recreation and announced plans to launch a similar country club in Onitsha by January next year, aimed at further enhancing Anambra's status as a prosperous and livable state.
The Anambra Country Club, located near Solution Fund City, is an exclusive hub designed by Governor Chukwuma Soludo to offer luxury, comfort, and recreation. Members can enjoy social, sporting and leisure activities while maintaining the highest standards. The club features top-notch amenities, including indoor and outdoor sports facilities, a gym, swimming pool, family lounge, business center, and spaces for corporate events. The designer notes the facility also acts as an economic booster for the state.
So the most unique thing about this country club, not just its landscape, but it's the combination of a country club and the fun city. The ages all considered, different age brackets. They're all here at the same time. A kid is in the amusement park, same time an adult could be in the country club. So you know, it just makes here a prosperous homeland.
With the Anambra Country Club now ready, Governor Chukwuma Soludo, his wife Nonye, the Deputy Governor and other dignitaries officially opened the facility. Interim Chairman Emmanuel Oyinlofo described the club as a well-managed space where business, political and elite communities can network and relax, all while maintaining high standards of discipline. Stakeholders also praised the governor for this landmark initiative.
The Anambra Country Club offers a carefully area for fine dining, recreational and sporting facilities. Some are upstairs and some are across the fence over there. That is the tennis courts and all that. Meeting and networking venues and a serene outdoor environment.
We have had governors, but no governor, and I stand to be corrected, no governor has turned Oka into a true capital. You are a hard-working governor.
The commissioning of this Anambra Country Club is a demonstration of your interest in attracting seasoned investors and businessmen to Anambra State.
Governor Chukwuma Soludo explains that while many focus on constructing buildings, few prioritize creating spaces for relaxation and social interaction. The Anambra Country Club was designed to fill that gap, offering a premium environment for rest, recreation, and networking.
Our dream to build a livable and prosperous smart megacity can't happen by just building roads and bridges and so on. No. Any society where a place of leisure and entertainment cannot be a livable place, because we must regenerate this city. Anambra is fast growing into a one mega city, and we have a choice. It either grows into a smart one or into a despicable ghetto.
With music, dancing and celebrations, the Anambra Country Club officially opens to the public. Governor Chukwuma Soludo also announces plans for a similar club in Onitsha, aiming to reposition the state as a premier destination for leisure, business, and social gatherings.
The NDLEA operatives have arrested notorious drug trafficker Nwobodo Chidebere Basil, previously convicted for dealing over 30 kilograms of methamphetamine. Basil was caught with 75 parcels of cocaine totaling 1.5 kilograms concealed in factory-sealed sachets of cold water starch destined for the United Kingdom at the export shed of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. In a separate operation, NDLEA officials destroyed tons of skunk with a potent strain of cannabis sativa, along with wooding warehouses in Ara Forest in Ekiti State, recovering 638 kilograms of the drug. And on the same day, officers intercepted 3 Toyota Camry vehicles along the Igara-Auchi Road in Edo State, seizing 1,205 blocks of cannabis sativa weighing 883.1 kilograms. In Lagos, Ajoke Dauda was arrested on Christmas Day at the Agbara area, where 45.5 kilograms of skunk, while Olusegun Felix was apprehended a day earlier in Badagry with 18.5 kilograms of the same substance. 2 more suspects were arrested in Takum in Taraba State with 48 kilograms of skunk, and in Gombe State, a 65-year-old driver Sadu Mohammed was intercepted along the Gombe-Biu highway with 300 ampoules of pentazocine injections and 27,900 tramadol pills. Also, NDLEA operatives arrested Ignatius Ebuche, also known as Brown, in connection with the seizure of 26 kilograms of loud, which is a strain of cannabis, at the Tinkan port in Lagos. President of Dangote Group, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, has emphasized that empowering Africa to feed, power, and industrialize itself is a key driver of the Dangote Group during the unveiling of Dangote Vision 2030 right here in Lagos. While the event, attended by the Vice President, industry leaders, governors, and other notable figures, outlined the group's roadmap to achieving a $100 billion valuation by the year 2030.
As disclosed in this hall in Lagos, in just 5 years, Dangote Group looks to turn a $30 billion conglomerate into a $100 billion empire.
We invite you to walk this journey with us.
Its president, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, addresses how to supercharge Dangote Group for long-term success.
Next phase requires partners who believe in Africa's long-term potential. I actually just came back from the Middle East yesterday, yesterday, and we have had a lot of interest where people want to come and invest, but they don't have partners. And we told them that, look, we are ready to partner. The thinking of Dangote before, where we want to own the business 100%, has now changed. We can go as low as 51%.
As the Vice President Kashim Chatima and top functionaries in the public and private sector pay attention, financing the next phase is an integral component, taking into account Dangote Refinery, fertilizer, cement, and Dangote Foods.
It's my task today to reaffirm how we're going to go to this journey. Dangote Group itself, the journey has multiple of pillars. Starting from Africa first is the motto. This is our purpose. And industrial power. We have the global ambition and the African scale, which supports with the transformation. I just like to put a diagram for you to visualize what really it entails, 100 billion turnover. We need to understand this is a very critical point of the milestone that we're at the crossroad. I'm just putting an illustration what 100 billion revenues is going to be on the scale. You are looking for the other global companies itself. This is global Fortune 100 companies. There are only 49 of them still on this scale. We are committed to be Dangote, moving to this journey to advance the global 100. And that's gonna be the leading Africa into the world league.
A countdown ensues with the leaders in the public and private sector on hand, side by side.
3, 2, 1, and push. Thank you.
Alhaji Aliko Dangote's altruism is not just national, but international, accelerating Africa's industrial revolution with Dangote Group's Vision 2030.
Of sports, Mozambique has ended the 39-year wait for the first Africa Cup of Nations victory by defeating Gabon 3-2 in a Group F thriller. That happened earlier today. Well, the Mambas began the match having drawn 4 and lost 12 since making the first of 6 appearances at the tournament in 1986. Goals from Faisal Bangal, Jenny Katamo, and Diogo Khalida won a seesaw struggle for the Mozambicans, who led 2-1 at halftime in the Moroccan coastal city. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Alex Musunda netted for Gabon, who twice halved 2-goal deficits before suffering a second straight loss after falling to Cameroon. And Sudan have boosted their own chances of qualifying for the knockout stage of the Africa Cup of Nations after a Sol Koko own goal gave them a 1-0 win over Equatorial Guinea. Unlucky Torino centre-back Koko saw the ball come off him and then into the net in the 74th minute in Casablanca when his teammate Louis Asue attempted to clear a Sudan free kick. Meanwhile, Algeria have booked their spot in the round of 16 following a 1-0 win against Burkina Faso. Riyad Mahrez scored from the penalty spot in the 23rd minute. Angola coach Patrice Vermeulen has said that Egypt's strength in depth means the 7-time African champions will remain formidable even if they rest several players for Monday's Africa Cup of Nations group stage finale. And Angola enter the match under pressure after collecting just 1 point from their opening 2 games, drawing with Zimbabwe after losing to South Africa. And Patrice says that he's admitting disappointment with the results, but that his team have no alternative but to push for victory against the strongest side in the group.
For me, there is no best player and weak player in Egypt. I think they have the possibility to make two teams. So never mind who is going to play. Egypt is still Egypt, and they have a strong team. But the message for my players is clear. We still have a good team as well, and we can do it. We have to do it. We just have to believe in it.
Super Eagles head coach Eric Chelle says that he is proud of his team's performance in a 3-2 win over Tunisia at the Africa Cup of Nations. The Eagles dominated the majority of the match with goals from Victor Osimhen, Wilfred Ndidi and Ademola Lookman, but conceded 2 late goals. He says that his dream is to have a team that can play high-pressure football for 90 minutes, but it is impossible.
We have to improve for the 15 last minutes, but for sure, you cannot do a high pressure on the pitch during 90 minutes. It's impossible. It's impossible. My vision, my dream is to have a team who can do that, but it's impossible. So 75 minutes is good, but we have to improve during this last 15 minutes. We did some mistakes, like the first game. We continue to improve. I think this game was better than the first, and I hope that the third game will be better than the second.
And Rivers United have extended their lead at the top of the Nigeria Premier Football League table to 4 points. Boluwaji Sholumade's lone goal in the 53rd minute handed the pride of Rivers all 3 points and are on 37 points from 19 games. Relegation strugglers Kano Pillars beat Nasarawa United 3-0 for their 6th win of the season in 19 games. El Kanemi Warriors picked 1F the away win for the day thanks to a 1-0 victory against Bayelsa United in Yenagoa. In other games, Enyimba beat Shooting Stars 3-0. There were also away wins for Katsina United and Abia Warriors in the match day 19 fixtures. Away from sports and outside our shores, U.S. President Donald Trump says that he and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky are now in the final stage of talks, adding in his words, "We have the makings of a deal." The meetings held at the Mar-a-Lago area is discussing President Zelensky's own revised version of a 20-point peace plan, which began as a 28-point U.S. proposal and which Mr. Zelensky claimed was 90% ready. It also covers issues such as territorial secessions and security guarantees. But earlier, Mr. Trump said that he held a very good and very productive call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. The Russian side confirmed it lasted over an hour, and the two will speak after Mr. Zelensky's meeting as well. The presidential aide, Yuri Ushakov, said that the leaders have all agreed that a ceasefire proposed by the Europeans will only prolong conflict and that Kiev needs to be bold. And citizens of the Central African Republic have been voting today as President Touadéra seeks a controversial third term in office. It is widely regarded as the most complex election in the country's history, as voters are casting ballots for 4 different levels of governments, including presidential, legislative, regional, and municipal.
There are 4 elections held on Sunday, December 28th. The presidential, legislative, regional and municipal. The first time in nearly 40 years for such elections to take place in the CAR after a long period of political conflict, including a civil war between the Seleka rebel movement and anti-Balaka groups, displacing 1 million people. President Faustin Archange Touadéra is hoping the votes will give him an expected win to serve a 3rd term. After voting at a polling station in Bangui, the president called on fellow citizens to fulfill their civic duty, saying to reporters, "This is one of those moments when our law truly gives us the strength to choose our leaders. We need everyone to do their homework so that our country can develop and regain peace and security." Touadéra, who made headlines by adopting Bitcoin as a legal tender in 2022, pushed through a referendum in 2023 to abolish a 2-term limit and extend presidential mandates from 5 to 7 years. Significant delays in confirming 2 major challenges have led some opposition groups to boycott the election, labeling it as a sham. Out of 7 candidates, the most prominent opponents are ex-Prime Minister Anissé Georges de Logel and Henri-Marie Dondra. Both candidates cast their ballots in the election. They also urged citizens to vote and raised concerns over transparency and low turnout in the capital. They both questioned the integrity of the electoral process. De Logel also cited restrictions on his campaign. Analysts say Touadéra is still favored to win, given his control over state institutions and greater financial resources. Provincial results are expected by January 5, and if no candidate gets more than 50% of the vote, a presidential runoff will take place in February. Legislative runoffs will take place on April 5th.
And the main news again. President Bola Tinubu has left for Europe ahead of the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Summit holding in the first week of January 2026. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawado. Have a fruitful week ahead. Good night.